Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story, who comes from PWO Jax, who says, I, male 32, ruined Christmas and I have no regrets. Is anyone else's family this dysfunctional? Every year there is an argument in my family, and after 32 years, I was the one who blew up for the first time. Long story short, I'm half Korean, half white. My mum is Korean, my dad is white. So we only have my dad's side here in the US. For years, I watched some of my dad's side speak down to my mum. They never invite her to things. Me and my brother have always been treated like outsiders by some family members. To be frank, I don't care how I'm treated. Every year we bite our tongues and survive the holidays because it's only 2 to 3 times a year. We repeat the process and don't expect much from these family members. My mum even buys gifts every year for these family members and she gets nothing in return and never complains. My white grandma is 80 and she's the only thing anchoring us to some of these family members. 3 times today, I watched a family member, aunt, raise her voice to my mum. Speak to her as if she doesn't speak English and shut her down over simple questions like, where should I sit? I watched my mum quietly recoil and I couldn't stand to see it again. This aunt does it the most and I finally blew up. I yelled so loud that everyone stopped what they were doing. I told them enough is enough, to start treating my mum with respect and as an equal in this house. To stop speaking to my mum, who's lived in the US for 35 years, like she doesn't speak English, and stop shutting her down over simple questions. I watched it happen year after year and will not allow it to happen anymore. My aunt stomped away and was so upset she left. As she was leaving, I walked up to my aunt to hand her my mum's yearly gift to her. I said, for 30 years, I watched my mum give you a gift every year. I watched her speak to you as an equal with respect. I've never seen you treat her with the same. She didn't say anything, but before she left, she apologized to my mum. Before I left, I apologized to everyone and explained why I was upset. Everyone was shocked how mad I got. I felt like everyone understood why I was mad. Prior to this, around Thanksgiving, I spoke to some family members about how I was hurt. They never included my mum on family things or even texts about family emergencies, which they have been trying to do more. After blowing up, it made things awkward. People trickled out early too. Now my grandma is talking about not doing Christmas anymore due to the constant family drama. I feel bad, but I've never felt so proud to stand up for my mum. Does anyone have any advice on this? Handling rude family? Should I do something else? And we do have an edit to this post and an update as well, which we're going to cover after some of the comments. And to me in this one, there's times where we say there's a better way to deal with things and, talking it out, etc, etc. But sometimes arseholes need to be called out for their arseholish behavior, and this has been going on for 32 years. And you even apologized for blowing up yourself to the family and explained what the situation was, and they need to hear it. But I'm Back says, everyone's family is a bit dysfunctional. Your aunt needed that, your mum needed that, your grandma can get over it or not, her decisions are her own. You didn't ruin Christmas, that was happening for 32 years before you spoke up. Bedtime Shine says you should have done this a long time ago. Actually, your dad should have. Lady Whatever replies to that and says, exactly. Why does he let family do that to his wife? That's fucked up. OP responded to that and says, when I was younger, my mum would always want to help with cooking or in the kitchen. They blew up on her if she didn't do it right or quick enough. They all have control issues. In the last 10 years, she's been resorting to sitting in the living room watching TV. Recently, it's just simple questions. Where should I sit? Honey, do you want leftovers? It also drives me nuts when people's octaves rise when they speak to someone whose second language is English. My mum has lived in the US longer than she lived in Korea. It makes me miss my grandfather who died when I was younger. He treated her like a daughter. Lady Whatever says, even if you ruined Christmas, it was the good thing to do. Nobody should put down someone else like that. Rude and disrespectful. And I bet your mum is going to reprimand you about it because she seems like a very respectful person, but deep down, she's very proud of you. OP said, yeah, she told me we are better than that, but also said, I don't know what the hell is wrong with her. My mum is uber religious, so she's been praying about it for years. It's been her coping mechanism, to be honest. I'm like, F that. She also just gave me a long hug in the kitchen a few minutes ago. A deleted user says to OP, "Where is your dad from all of this? If somebody dared to mistreat my wife, I will fuck them up." OP responds and says, "He's had arguments with this family member too. I'm not offended about people asking about my dad. People are just trying to understand and provide advice. It's genuine concern and support. My dad has to pick his battles just like all of us. My mum demands we go for grandma's sake. My dad would have stopped going years ago, but my mum does it out of respect. My dad has also stepped up in other ways. 36 years ago, a military supervisor told my dad he was making the worst mistake of his life for marrying my mum. That he was just lonely and would change his mind once he moved back to the US. Taking a chance is bravery. Being in a multiracial family is bravery. I haven't experienced the adversity as others, but things happen. I just see things as a way to make me stronger. I've watched my dad step up so many times, it was my turn to do it. Defending my mum is everyone's responsibility. My mum allowed it to happen. I watched it my whole life. My dad tolerated it. Grandma watched it happen. My other family members watched it happen. There's no one to blame besides the person who's rude in the first place. Regardless, I appreciate people's perspectives and we should all step up when we can. Meeseek says you put some pompous assholes in their place. You can rest assured things have changed. They will be the ones biting their tongues now. I would have loved to have been there to watch their faces. They knew what they were doing and now they feel bad that you made them feel ashamed. Good on you. What did your dad say? OP responded saying my dad was in the family room when he heard me yelling and was near one of my other aunts who said, "Oh shit, someone fucked up." My dad, to be honest, is emotionally drained. He's been wanting to do something else for years, but my mum, who's the kind of person, said she will keep going as long as grandma does it. So OP went on to edit this post, which says, "Mum's reaction. On the car ride home, my mum expressed some words about my aunt, which she never does about anyone. She's always taken the high road. It's a very Korean Christian mum approach. My mum's method of being a pacifist is very much older immigrant / Korean / boomer approach too. It's taught me a valuable skill in life. I don't regret picking my battles, and that's why I'm so appreciative of being Korean / white. After we left, she gave me a very long mum hug. She didn't say anything and asked me if I wanted my favorite Korean dish. Where is my dad? He was in the other room. Yes, my dad could have done more over the last 35 years. He's gotten in arguments with everyone my whole life, including this aunt. We'd be fighting every year with someone new if we didn't pick our battles. We would have stopped going years ago, but my mum wants to go out of respect for my grandma. My dad is the only one who isn't petty about dumb shit. Defending my mum is everyone's responsibility, not just my dad, including my grandma, aunts, other family members and me. As soon as I got loud, my dad came into the room and stood guard. I can't describe it. There wasn't much for him to say or do because he didn't hear it. I was quick to unload and my aunt immediately walked away because she was embarrassed. My white side has a keep grandma happy approach, which is dumb. For years, my dad would be on the verge of saying things and my mum would demand that he didn't. Me? Reflecting on this as a whole, I can't believe the response. It shows you everyone has screwed up family in some way. After Thanksgiving, I started to speak to family one-on-one, which has had a good response. I have no relationship with this aunt. I should have pulled her aside, even as the nephew who's 30 years younger. A small part of me regrets it, and I will be glad to sit down with her still. If she's not willing to try or work it out like other people responded, fuck her. Please don't use my experience as a reason to blow up on anyone. I should have tried to speak, and I did what I felt was right. I don't regret it. Grandma's 80th birthday is in 2 months. I can't wait for that to be awkward. Someone made a comment that people can't be educated until you give them a chance to be aware of their actions, which is fair. Regardless, people will now think twice to be rude to my mum. Cheers and have a happy New Year's. Now OP gives us their full update, which says, "I wanted to update the kind people who took the time to give me advice and affirmation last Christmas when I really needed it. I wanted to provide an update how Christmas and the year went. Long story short, I'm half Korean, half white. My family has always been rude to my mum and treats her as an outsider. Every year my mum brings over gifts for everyone and gets nothing in return. She never causes drama but gets treated like crap and I think because of their own biases. My white grandma is 80 and the last grandparent alive. She is the only reason we get together with them. After 32 years, I finally blew up on a rude family member, my aunt who disrespected my mum with a few expletives. I blew up in front of the whole family, demanding that the behavior needs to stop. My actions ended Christmas because everyone left quickly after. I felt liberated for standing up for something I've been feeling for years. Last year, I was looking for advice on how to manage the fallout of what I did. Update. The year has been interesting. Immediately after Christmas, I sent an apology letter to my aunt. I went against some advice, but my letter requested to not let the situation impact the family. I left the lack of any relationship in her hands and shared everything can change if she gives my mum a little more respect. I decided to send a letter because she lives 3 hours away and I've never spoken to her on the phone for more than 30 seconds. I didn't think a phone call would help or fix the situation, especially after I blew up. After Christmas, I apologized to my grandma for what I did. I let my grandma know I sent an apology letter to my aunt. My grandma told me she is and always wants my mum to feel like she's part of the family. I could tell my grandma was on the verge of crying when she said that. My grandma told me blowing up was not okay, but understood why I did it. Hearing that felt really good. In regards to the letter, I got no response. My aunt denied ever getting it. We know my aunt got the letter because when my grandma confronted her about last Christmas, my aunt went into a rant about several things I mentioned in my letter. My grandma did tell my aunt what she did was wrong and she needed to change. In February, my aunt didn't come to my grandma's 80th birthday party. She told other family members that she didn't want to cause an argument, so she didn't want to come. My aunt didn't come to my grandma's on Mother's Day dinner because she supposedly had to work. My family didn't get together the rest of the year. Thanksgiving and Christmas came. Things are not perfect, but Thanksgiving and Christmas went really well this year. I was going to post after Thanksgiving, but the gathering was smaller than usual, and I wanted to see how Christmas went. During Thanksgiving and Christmas, everyone was very kind to my mum. It felt like everything shifted. Everyone spoke to her differently, and it feels really good. My mum got help in the kitchen for the first time ever. I know that sounds dumb, but my mum has always wanted to help cook because she loves to cook. It was the first time she didn't spend the whole day in the living room. At one point during Thanksgiving, my mum asked me to help her dry dishes. While we were washing and drying dishes, my mum was smiling the entire time. At one point, my mum stopped putting dishes away and randomly hugged me. We laughed and had fun the entire time. No one argued and no nasty remarks. My mum was treated as an equal and it felt really good. In regards to the aunt that I yelled at last year, she came late to Thanksgiving. So late, we were eating when she arrived. At Thanksgiving, my mum did initiate the first interaction with my aunt. She was not very conversational but polite to my mum. My aunt didn't look at me the entire time. When she arrived, I went to say hello, and she turned away and kept their distance the entire time. She basically stayed in a different room the entire time. She also left early and was the first to leave. The best part? I don't care. I apologized and left the future in her hands. If she treats my mum well, she will get nothing but respect in return. Christmas was as if nothing happened. My aunt didn't really talk to me, but she was incredibly nice to my mum. I'm okay with that. Both my parents said they have never seen my aunt so nice before. My mum got to help in the kitchen just like Thanksgiving. This year, for the first time, it felt like my mum was an equal in the family. Everyone was incredibly nice. No arguments, snide remarks, or drama. I regret yelling, but it changed everything. I think it put everyone on notice they need to change. There was a lot of questions and comments about my dad. The comments was hard to hear, but true. It helped me reflect on what my dad has/hasn't done. The truth is, my dad has been the glue of the family for years. He spends so much time being the middleman and trying to repair issues. At times, it's been at the expense of my mum. Regardless, my dad's lack of actions over the years doesn't make it right. Over the summer, I told my dad what I felt. I told him that I was disappointed in him and that his family has never been kind to my mum. I told him he should have done more. My dad didn't take it well, but he told me I did the right thing. My relationship with my dad is complicated. I know, though, I'm not going to make the same mistakes he has. We are different people, and I will do whatever is needed. If you're reading this and have a similar situation, if you have people or someone rude in your family, try to take a moment to sit someone down, hear them out, and try to do the right thing from the start. When you have the convo, stay calm. If they are not willing to hear you, then make it known. Blowing up could have gone either way, and I'm lucky it fixed things. Try to loop in other family members before or after so they understand your reasons and can back you for your choice. My post last year gave me affirmation what I did was right. Follow your heart, it might fix years of issues. Then OP comes in with one last little update which says, because of COVID, my grandma is in her 80s and in declining health. We don't do holidays together. In early 2021, my brother and sister-in-law moved back from Korea during COVID in 2020. We made Christmas amazing. My sister-in-law is from Korea and we made Christmas amazing for her. We make her a full member of our family. We haven't even seen my father's side. Now we do Christmas with just my parents, no extended family. My parents cook Thanksgiving and Christmas together. I feel bad my grandma celebrates with only one aunt who looks after her. In some ways, I've come to realize she contributed to the dynamics too. I truly love the holidays now. I'm now seeing someone and our families hang out. In some ways, my mum gets to be the head female for the family. She doesn't have to hide anymore. And this post turned up on the best of Redditor updates basically, so they compiled it and all this kind of thing. And someone said, OP is a very thoughtful man and his mother clearly deserves to be defended considering how well she raised him. And then OP came into that and said, hey, this is me. I'm so honored people repost this. I feel like it gives people hope to know everyone has shitty family. This year, my family is renting a cabin in the woods, cooking Korean/American food. No extended family, no drama. I'm sad we aren't really close to my extended family anymore. I've come to realize relationships have to be two ways. My grandma still gets together with some of the extended family, including my rude aunt, but they don't have anyone else. I'm okay with not seeing them anymore. Reflecting on this now, I'm good, but my mum still brings up we should do holidays with my dad's family if they ask. The rest of us are like, F that. My mum still makes us FaceTime with them, but that lasts 10 minutes. And it's one of those posts that I really, really do love, the way that OP keeps coming back and reflecting on past actions and explaining themselves about what they've learned. It's one of my favorite things about reading these stories. And hopefully this doesn't come across as patronizing or anything like that, because I really don't mean it in that way, but I was incredibly proud of OP for the way that they've dealt with things. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let's have one more little story, shall we? And this story comes from NoYouth6786, who says, am I the arsehole for snapping at my friend who keeps ditching me because I now have a child? Just over 2 years ago, I, female 29, unexpectedly got pregnant and now have a beautiful 18-month-old daughter, Kira. Over that time, my friend circle got considerably smaller, but my best friend remained, Mia, female 31. Mia doesn't have kids nor wants kids, but she has been brilliant with Kira. I'm a stay-at-home mum and obviously don't have as much time to hang out as I did previously. Mia and I live on the same street. We're in Manchester, England, and it's walking distance between our houses. I've told Mia numerous times that she can just pop in whenever she wants to. She works from home, but she rarely does. She did at the beginning, but it's been happening less and less. Instead, she keeps suggesting we go out for coffee or pizza or even a drink, but I don't have the time and I always tell her to come over and we'll have a coffee at my place. She asked if I wanted to go out with her and her other friends for a drink last weekend, but I said that no, but she's welcome to come over and we'll have a few drinks at mine. She said she already had plans and it felt weird to drink when she knows there's a child around. Honestly, I feel neglected. I feel like she put me on the back burner and doesn't want to be friends anymore. I'm always available, but she rarely comes over and I don't think that's fair. Today, I saw her photos from Saturday night out and I was fuming. She ditched me just so she could go and drink like she's 20 again. I felt rejected and horrible. I thought we were best friends, but she clearly doesn't value me when she won't have a few drinks with me at my house. When she finished work, she called and asked if I fancied going for a coffee to town. But I asked her to come over again. She said yes, but before she disconnected, I heard her mumble, like always. This really annoyed me. When she came over, I decided to be open about everything. While not my proudest or most mature moment, I shouted at her that she's an awful friend. That she barely comes over, and if she doesn't want to spend time with me, to just say it and stop playing around. She said she's always been accommodating, but it's been 2 years and she doesn't want to spend time with me when there's always a kid, especially now that she has to watch her language. Mia likes to swear. I said that she knew I had a child and responsibilities, and she said that Tom, my partner, could take care of Kira once in a while so I could have time off. This felt really intrusive, and I told her to mind her own business and not meddle in my marriage. I was really angry with her and kicked her out. She called me a selfish asshole on her way out. Normally, I would expect her to call by now with apologies, but she hasn't done so, and I'm starting to wonder, was I the asshole or was she? Perhaps I was too harsh and should have been more careful with discussing it. And firstly, before I go into the comments, I just want to say I did look up that pronunciation for Kira. There was a couple of ways of pronouncing it, and I just ended up going with that one. Forgive me. But we're going to start with Haytham Ken, who says, "You're the arsehole. She didn't ditch you. She asked you to go out with her friends and she had made plans. She's not drinking like she's 20. She's drinking like someone who doesn't have a child. P.S. She's right. Your partner can look after your daughter once in a while, and should do, to try and bond with her." Funky Orange Penguin says, "You're the arsehole. You're always expecting her to accommodate you because you have a child. She's been coming over to your house for over a year because she understands your life has changed. You're putting in very little effort and assuming that it's on her to maintain the friendship and compromise. Why? Because you're a mum? She didn't ditch you. You've been a shitty friend for a while and she's probably done with you." And one more comment from Katana, who says, "You're the arsehole. You refuse to do anything outside the home. She asks you constantly. You're evidently working on being a helicopter mum. At some point you need to leave the home and do something without your child. It's better for both of you. And you ditched her, not the other way around." Now, there was pretty much the whole way through was a lot of "you're the arsehole" comments, but maybe you have a different opinion on the matter. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.